like Paulson was saying, I am real big on footwork. I'm real big on footwork. And the reason why is that the way boxing has come about, there are a lot of people who, if you can punch hard, then they feel you have a chance. And you can take a guy in a fight, he can be getting beat the whole fight, and he'll feel as long as I can punch hard, doggone it, I got a chance. You know, and they rely on that. The one guy who understands footwork and angles does not care how hard you punch. He has no intention of taking those shots. So how hard you're punching is actually irrelevant. So that's the reason I go by footwork, and I use the footwork and the balance, the angles, distance. It's basic mathematics. And this is honestly the way the game was designed originally. It is actually mutated into what we see most popular now. When everyone is, it's what I call sumo boxing. They get close enough and they just start punching. They just charge at each other and swing, and the last guy standing, he's the winner. You know, there's not much intelligence in that, to be honest with you. I can't see it logically, and I won't adhere to it. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. So we make it more into a thinking man's game. It's more chess than people feel, than people realize. You know, and as we go on and we get into it, and a lot of the guys who've been in before, they know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of thinking involved. Okay, so it's not necessarily the strongest or the toughest. It's a lot more involved in it. And you can actually have two guys that are very intelligent, and you'll see which one is actually running games that the other doesn't understand. You know, so we're going to get more into that, and I'll keep explaining as we go, and you'll be able to see how you can take your game and elevate it. The one thing I will say, the biggest complaint or gripe that I had when I first came in here was had all of these guys that say, I'm a grappler, I'm an MMA fighter, you're going to mess up my style. I'm not going to work with you because you're going to try to turn me into a boxer and you're going to ruin what I got going. All right? It's not further from the truth. What I teach, honestly, the kernel of what I teach, the nucleus of it, is balance. Plain and simple. And then we just kind of shoot off from that, you know? And we grab objectives and we hold them in, but it's all circled around balance. If you can increase your balance, you increase your entire fighting style. Everything is effective if you know where you are. Once you have that balance, you have more control over what you do. Your entire fighting style strengthens, you know? So anyone who has that in their head, I just want to make that statement so that we can alleviate that and you can actually open your minds and we can learn something, all right? First and foremost, you've all heard it, true boxer stance. The true boxer stance is where you're going to get the strongest center, and your balance is going to be in the most dynamic position. The true boxer stance is when you're facing your opponent. When you're facing your opponent, you want to stand at an angle. Here. Okay? If you'll notice, look right where you are. Naturally, this is where you stand. This is what people see as a good stance to box. From here. The reason why you normally want to stand here is because you want to use both hands. You want to just jump right in initially and use both hands. So you'll take this rear foot and you'll bring it forward. So it brings your right hand closer to your opponent. Okay? The thing about that is you have no balance there. You have none. You don't have the mobility that you think you do. So from here, when he's standing in here and I step over, I'm already in a firing position and he still hasn't even moved his feet. You understand? So what you want to do is you want to keep this leg, rotate back, facing your opponent. Give him more. There you go. You want to keep this, your front leg, facing your opponent. Okay? So if I'm standing here and he decides he's going to go around me here, and he goes, turn, you just turn out. He's taking a half circle. It's almost like sitting in the center of a track and this guy runs the curve around the track and you just cut across the infield. You know, and he's wondering, how is this guy beating me? He takes off first, you just cut across the infield. Okay? So if he goes here, and we're standing in here, and he decides he's going to come around the outside, I just turn. You just turn your hips, and you're already back in the true boxer stance. Okay? The reason why most people don't get this is naturally we move from our shoulders. It is natural. You walk down the hall, you turn your shoulders. And that's why in here we all move that way. So what will happen is he'll go this way, I'll go this way, and I'll spin myself out here. You create too much momentum. Okay? So you want to sit through it, turn from your hips, put your feet down, and you're right back into the true boxer stance. Okay? You want to practice this from the hips because one of the biggest mistakes is guys will turn, they'll throw the jab, and they're doing this. Okay? So you want to turn through from your hips. When you turn from your shoulders, you pull yourself out of the fight. Here. When you turn from your hips, here, you're sitting right back down into your stance. So you don't want to get away from that stance because every punch can be had from right here in this stance. You can go straight from your offense to your defense, right back to your offense without changing. What you don't want to see is when a guy throws a punch at you, pull back from your shoulders. You've actually put your whole game on pause. There's nothing you can do until you find your balance. And the only reason why you can't find your balance is because you threw it away. Okay? The mindset that I have, and then what I teach, is if I'm sitting in here, and I stand still long enough, and I stand right here, and he hits me with a jab, he gets credit for that. All right? Everybody watching, the judges, everybody gives him credit for landing that punch. But I know that the only reason he landed that punch is because I screwed up. Okay? If I don't screw up, he can't get that shot off. So I'm not giving him credit for that. Everybody else can. I'm going to take the blame for that. All right? And I understand that if I stand there again, he's going to hit me again. So I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to correct that. And I'm not going to give him that shot again. Okay? When you do that, you actually have more confidence in your game because you stop being intimidated by what he can do. And you actually strengthen yourself on what you can forbid him from doing. You understand? Concentrate on your own game. The only time, even now, even if I'm running my game here, the only time I can really get my game going is I have to pull him out. I have to make him make mistakes. He has to not understand the angles. He has to make those mistakes, and I'll go to work. And I get all of this credit for scoring punches, but actually it's because he fell off. Truly, he fell off and allowed me to have the openings that I needed to get the shots off that I was looking to land. All right? So if you understand that, you can actually go in and you will compete with anybody with a certain level of confidence that you wouldn't have had if you're sitting here worrying about your opponent's game, as opposed to focusing on your own. Okay? That's the reason I am a big, big stickler for form and balance and doing things the right way. The more consistent and more diligent you can be with that, the harder you are to beat. And I don't care if the guy's faster than you. I don't care if he's stronger than you, has a better, longer reach. It's irrelevant. Stay to your game. Concentrate on where you are and don't lose sight of that. Don't focus on his game. Focus on your own.